and this is ZEN Bound 2, Episode 3. So this is just a really relaxing game that I'm going to continue to play and talk about life stuff, just as a nice, relaxing way to ease into or out of the day. So let's play. I restarted the whole game because I wanted to see what my progress was as I continued through this. Oh, look at that. Already started. Continued from my saved game. That's glorious. Okay. So this weekend I went on a little trip away from everything. Well, away from everything is a strong word. I went to Portland and went and saw Electric Six, which was amazing, and shopped and kind of just tried to get out of my head a little bit, because sometimes when you get into the busyness of life, it's really hard to try and find balance when you're just doing the same thing over and over again and you crave something new and you just really want to explore something new. And so going to a new city, that's a great way to do that. That is not how I wanted to end this game. Okay, we'll end in school. Start over again. So, what I love about travel is taking in new sights, new sounds, new people, just how every city has its own feel, its own aesthetic, and that's really cool. No, just don't be afraid to really get into something new. Or redo things over and over again. That's fine too. There's an achievement for this game where you wrap something up to 100% and then unwrap it completely. And I've tried this a couple of times, and every time I accidentally end the level by wrapping around that one nail. But what is failure if not the opportunity for growth, right? And strengthening? I think that's really important. So I've always been a perfectionist. I've always wanted to be perfect at everything that I did, and if I couldn't do it perfectly, I would just quit, generally in kind of a rage. Or just not try because I didn't want it to be less than perfect. And I used to really pride myself on that if I couldn't do it perfectly, then I wouldn't do it at all. And I realized that I was really taking away perfect opportunities from myself to grow in the process of life. Like art, for example, is a beautiful way to see progress. Even things that you initially consider failures can be the inspiration for whatever that art piece ends up being. And it's going into the process without any set expectation. That can be really, really hard to wrap your mind around if it's not something you're familiar with. If you want to always have a plan, such as me, I always want to have a plan, and you always want it to be exactly as you have imagined in your head, there's the achievement. Going into a new project without expectations is almost panic-inducing for me sometimes. Because if I don't know where I'm going, how do I know how to start? How do I know how to be prepared. How do I know when I'm done? And that really resonates with me. How do I know when I'm done? How do I know when I'm done? Oh. I'm just gonna sit with that for a minute. If you don't have set expectations, you won't always know when you're done. If that's what you're basing your expectations on. So I think that a new perspective that I like to lean into is less about expectation and more about intuition. More about feeling it with your gut and going into the process with an open mind, open to whatever comes out. Just kind of letting your soul express whatever it is it needs to express at that time. What if we're all miserable all the time because we're constantly expecting ourselves to be at a particular level for everything? We all have to be happy all the time, or somehow we've failed, or we have to be fit, or know exactly what we're doing, or know exactly what we want. In today's society, knowing what we want can be so challenging when we have so many choices, and they all sound amazing, and we don't want to make the wrong decision. But really that then poses the question, what is the right answer? What is exactly right in regards to that decision making? And sometimes comparing your choices to other people's can really make things more confusing, because what they want might not be what you want. And how will you know if you don't make a few mistakes what exactly you want? I recently had an experience where I didn't have anything planned for the day. I didn't have any expectations of myself. I didn't have chores that I said I would do. I didn't have any meetings with anybody else. I just kind of ate breakfast and then packed, and because I didn't have anything planned, because I hadn't set an agenda for myself, some specific goal for the day, utilizing every moment of every day, trying to move towards my goals, whatever that is, I felt really lost. And someone asked me what I wanted to do, and I didn't know. I honestly had no idea, and it was was frightening. Like, I mean, you start with the basic needs. Am I hungry? No. Am I thirsty? No. Am I bored? No. I had plenty of things that I could do. I don't really believe in being bored, but I stay pretty active. And once I'd gotten through that I wasn't hungry or thirsty or tired or cold and all of my basic needs were met and I didn't feel like lonely or bored, or there was this just kind of sense of panic that if I wasn't doing something with every minute of every day, I was somehow wasting moments. And my emotional response was so surprising to me that it took me aback. I didn't know what to do with it, and my gut reaction to anything like that is to just do some research onto it and see what I can learn about it and see what other people are saying about it, or kind of figure out what, of course, the next steps are. And there it is, doing something again. And the more research I did into it, the more I kind of sat with that feeling, the more I realized that I was just kind of terrified of my brain being quiet for a moment. Because if it was quiet, then who knows what it'll come up with, what it'll start to think about, right? I wonder how many people experience that. Staying so busy because they're terrified that their brain will start thinking of things that they don't want to. Like, if I'm always worried about other people's expectations, then I don't have to think of how uncomfortable I am in the world, how I'm doing things that I don't really want to do, how unhappy I am in my own life. I mean, those are really frightening realizations, real frightening questions. Or, you know, maybe your intuition will speak up and start to tell you that this is not where you need to be, or you realize that all of the things, all the people you're hanging out with are just so wrong for you. They're not nourishing you. They're not supporting you. They're not dreaming with you in a way that makes you feel good. I mean, what do you do with that information when you realize that the people in your life who you see every day aren't actually how you want to live your life? They say that who you are is essentially 80% of the people you hang out with every day. And if you don't hang out with anybody, well, then that would just be all the books and movies and whatever you input. How many friends do you hang out with just because you feel obligated to? Because if you don't do the thing that they want you to do, that they won't like you anymore. And if somebody doesn't like you, you're not a good person. You're not good enough. People have to like you. It's really can make life feel overwhelming when you don't feel supported or accepted by the people that you hang out with every day. But we all have our struggles, right? Even this little hedgehog. Well, that is the end of that tree. Yay! Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing day.